there. Yeah.
Yeah, because I.
Oh,
Good.
yeah. Like, yeah, suffocating summers and cold, dry winters.
You're having graduation for Foothill
What about you?
Today.
Going on any trips?
and so all the cars coming in. Yeah,
No, since I've been heads up, I just got here early and.
Yeah.
Read.
yeah.
Oh. So it's like a little vacation.
That's been one of the fun things, just this summer, is being able to read.
Nice.
Distraction.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Well, you're probably not doing the fun part, you're probably just watering.
Yeah, I'll do the watering. I was picking up the dry grass. Weeds. I was doing the fire prevention. You know. Yeah. Go your down on your knees.
We're going up the road. Yeah. Yeah. Is it pretty spacious?
Oh, yeah.
area?
I didn't finish. I'm like, this is taking a lot of my life.
Just the paper itself.
Yeah.
But I did
Yeah.
because the neighbors.
Fine.
I don't, I think I never knew. Their houses, their yards are very manicured. But we have kids. They go to private schools. That's not how we spend our money. So I took care of the front. To respect my neighbors.
Just keep the curb appeal up. So
Exactly.
nobody gets mad at you.
And then the back, well, that's part of the furniture. So I've been just being a gardener, I'm like, wow, I really, happy skills.
There you go.
I live in a condo.
Oh, yeah.
It's different.
Yeah, very. I live in like a rental house in San Jose, so the house is this big and the property is this big. And we don't own it either, so my investment in like making it permanently good is not there. But lots of container growing. The ground is just clay, you can't do anything with such tough down weeds.
It's kind of a vacation. Summer's just. Families all.
Do you live in San Francisco now?
On the border is called Tennessee.
Oh. Been to a teacher or?
Mostly elementary, but right now I'm in the teaching. I'm taking a break. It's different. I don't feel like it's, the intensity is less. But then also I help raise my nieces, so I know what they look like when they're sick. I know kids.
Starting middle school next year, or?
So the youngest is 8 and the oldest is 1. When you help raise kids, like like a little insider.
Yeah.
Information that you wouldn't know. That's like the wisdom, because I work for San Francisco, teachers are gonna go down. I feel like I could get in at the right time.
Yeah. Even 20 years ago,
I do too. And it looks like there's a lot of fronts, but yeah, exactly. Oh, that's nice. A lot of flexibility in where my screen is in my room, which is fun.
I mean, I guess there's just.
Yeah. I'm new to my district this year, and I'm in Campbell, but I had been in Cambridge forever. And I was used to like these kind of screens, and I walk in, it's like pull down screen projector, like, yeah. But
I haven't had this,
it's really nice. But the funny thing is the whiteboard, it opens, and so there's a seam, so you can't project on the whiteboard. I don't know. We make do, don't we?
honestly, whatever.
Right. Oh, there are nails, so fun. Yeah, I've seen that. It looks cool.
I couldn't.
Yeah, they have the magnet, right? They get the little magnet out.
That's what I was interested in.
Yeah. Science nails.
Exactly.
Write it off for tax purposes.
$10 it costs.
Yeah. I would tell my students, I did these nails for you under the dark camera, like, so much of the attention.
These are crazy out of the light.
Right. What's your name? Leah. I'm Pam. Oh, Leah. I'm Pamela. Nice to meet you.
What do you teach? What grade?
Fourth grade.
You have to teach everything. I'm middle school, 6, 7, 8 science.
Okay. Yeah, that's great.
Oh,
I've been messing around with it just for my own stuff, using it for ELT and
You know, I used it for a little while.
I haven't used it in Canva though. I've just been using ChatGPT or.
So when I was in magic school, and my husband was trying to show getting such a nice ChatGPT. So
Okay, yeah.
I had this new science called Style, and they do have an AI where it's actually like great, like for response answers, but I joke about the kids. I show it to them. I'm like, do you think it was user friendly?
Yeah, well, who would you rather score? That would be a fun comparison.
But actually, they're more into like if they give feedback. They're like, wait a minute, I rewrote it. See what it says now, and I'm like, so tell us if I criticized.
Huh. Yeah,
Musical festival.
that is interesting.
There's 4.
So then they're looking, I mean, I use Padlet for like just in the moment kind of, quick assessment. Well, and for them, I can just edit in the moment, like, oh, you just correct your picture, which da, da, da. But to have them, and I have a rubric, I always put a rubric in it, but it sounds like with the AI, they're paying attention to the rubric, they're paying attention to how they're being scored. Huh.
And let's be honest,
Those Fridays are always tries to put something positive to say.
I just go straight into the criticism. I don't have time.
Right. Do you put like the age group you're working with and, please?
It's already built in for, they know.
Yeah,
it's-
for the program.
They know it's.
Isn't that funny?
Yeah, they love
Oh,
Fridays.
great. Hi there. How are you? How are you? Good to see you.
All right.
Yeah, yeah. Julie, yes, good to see you.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Happy Friday. Thanks for coming on a Friday in your summer to come and hang out with us here. But we're gonna do a lot of fun things today, so you're in for a good one. As you can see from the placemat, there's like a lot of fun things we're gonna do with Gemini and Canva, our 2 main tools of the day. So we'll be building a Gem, which is a custom chatbot in Gemini, and like training it to be super helpful for your teacher needs. And then also going through like a bajillion different things that you can do with Canva, and then in turn have your students doing in Canva. So I'm Stacy Cradaville, and this is Justin.
Hi.
Did you want to
Yeah,
do your
hi.
spiel?
Good to see everybody. I'm the one that keeps on emailing. I promise you, I'm trying to like limit it to just make sure they're setting up reminders and things. But it's great to see everybody here. We just finished with one of our programs, so this is it's a nice quieter Friday for us. In terms of bathrooms, if you haven't been here before, there's bathrooms out to the outside. There are also bathrooms downstairs through our makerspace. So you just have to go down the stairs, go to the right, and then you'll go all the way through the makerspace and you'll see the bathrooms there. Wi-Fi is campus events, and that's the password. Hopefully you'll be able to log on. We haven't had any issues with that in the past. And if you have a loaner computer like Melanie does, then you're already online. So with that, feel free to ask if you have any questions. I'm happy to answer any of them. And yeah, I'm gonna hand it back over to Stacy. And then Jen is our Director of Strategy and Marketing, who looks like she's on a treadmill, actually. Jen, are you on a treadmill?
I already asked her that.
Oh.
So I sit and I work remote and my only access to work is online. So I got a walking pad so you can get your steps in while working. So I'm standing up, working and watching you all. And yeah, I'm trying to get my 10,000 steps.
All right, good to know, Jen. Okay, well, that's great. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead.
All right.
That's that.
Right.
All right.
Just, the Wi-Fi, and then that's the link.
All right, so this is just my short little intro slide about me. I was gonna put my face on this, but I didn't get there. So that's not me. And it's funny because the theme of the day is kind of a reality TV cooking show is what we're in for. But I hate to cook, so it's just kind of a funny little fun fact that I don't like to cook. But I love the theme of cooking. I have 3 little ones at home, ages 7, 5, and 2. They're at Dad's work today. I am a former PE and dance teacher, just now transitioning to ELD, my 2nd year of ELD coming up. I'm also the PD coordinator and instructional coach, ed tech specialist, wear a bajillion hats. And I'm just starting to do more teacher-facing workshops outside of my school district as a consultant talking about AI, which is exciting. I teach at my alma mater in San Bruno. I teach at Cappuccino High School. It's about 30 minutes north of here. And I am an alum from KCI. I've done merit and STEAM leadership. And I also write their blog. So if you've seen any of the KCI blogs in their newsletter or anything, a lot of those are coming from me. And since we're talking about food today, I'm gonna make you nice and hungry. I hope you all grab some snacks from out in the front. And if you missed it, go get some snacks throughout because we're talking about food a lot today. My favorite food is raviolis, and I don't like coffee. It's another fun fact. People often ask how I survive, especially as a mom and a teacher without coffee. But my replacement is Coke. So this is our chance now to connect with some other people in the room. I hope that you saw my little sign out by the sign-in sheet, but if you didn't see that by the name tags, actually, let me run and grab it. I wanted you to pick a flavor that matches your teaching style. Let me grab that really quick.
Do you have access to color printing?
Get you in the mix. Okay, I should have put it on my slide. So if you missed it, pick your teaching flavor, and there's a list of what spicy, sweet, fruity, savory that is. And then you're going to, once you find your flavor, you're going to find someone who has the same teaching flavor as you, if you can. If not, that's all right. Actually, let's make it someone different. Someone who does not have the same teaching flavor as you. That would be easier to pair up with. And you're going to share the most creative thing that you've done with the class, or the most creative thing that a student has done that maybe wasn't what you planned for. So think about your teaching flavor and go find a partner who's different from you.
Sweet and fruity.
You start and let me think about it.
I think one of the most creative things I did was actually kind of fun too. The kids and I were listening to podcasts throughout the year, and then we got to the point where they were creating their own podcasts. So it was great and COVID.
Sorry, I changed it. Find someone different. I realize it might be hard to find someone. Find a partner, hopefully with a different flavor on their name tag, and share something creative that you've done in the class or that a student's in the class. It's on Canva. Although not because we call it. I don't know, they're rebellious. Glad you're still here. So middle school or both.
I taught middle school for yes. So now I'm in a continuation of school.
Right.
Yeah, I just finished my third year. And I did now I really
Describe your teaching style. I didn't know there was a list. I just picked pink pencils.
A list of things.
I was just kind of used to it. So I'm going to be
Like to add.
Okay, I'll check that out. So they can do whatever, can I put things out?
is it for you or someone else?
I mean, I haven't, I did my husband.
More of a baseline of the
They have a privacy settings that Canva is like, it's, and then yeah, they signed everything. Anyway, and so it was really nice to be somewhere being appreciated. And then I went ahead and signed the contract for that for paternity. And then there's something about interface. Right. So I have a lot of people playing about it. Clever.
Yeah, so actually, one of our things are
Somewhere.
Also just like. And some of them just robotically do it, but some of them actually very sincere about it. So I thought better to.
Yeah.
And then I'll be tying it in with like ISTE standards and great, okay, excellent. Nice. I saw that, but I was traveling. So, yeah, I was like, oh, that's interesting, but I was not here. So.
Yeah.
Right, right. I was just really interested teachers to try something out. I'm interested.
Okay.
Yeah. No, this is the kind of thing rather than saying, right now, things have such great opportunities for professional development. And so do all of these things.
Kind of worked on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
And also, for me, I'm a slow.
Yeah.
So like if I can stay 2 years, like if that isn't the cards, I stay 2 years, because first year is always right.
Alrighty, if we could thank our partners and start wrapping that up. We're gonna still have lots of conversations today.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay. I was was it 2023? Yeah. I'm Renee. Sorry. And Nora.
Yeah, what program were you guys in here? Oh, nice.
Yeah, but I also
also doing like the camera stuff.
Oh, that's
Only
why.
if we did like the breakouts and I would do my camera. Yeah,
Yeah, but it was a big.
Oh, yeah, we should talk it was like, I didn't have the same.
All right. Thank you for sharing some creative things that you've done in the classroom. We're gonna keep thinking about things you've done and how we might change them up, or new things that you might create entirely. So there'll be a lot of time for discussion and talking to the other people at your tables and moving around a little bit too, because obviously we learn from each other in that way. These are our 3 main goals for the day. You will walk out of here knowing how to use Gemini to boost your teacher creativity and other things, but we're gonna focus on the creative aspect today. You will be designing fun learning experiences that connect you to your purpose. I feel like one of my favorite things about using Gemini or any chatbot is that it helps me do more of the things that I know I want to do that fulfill me, right? Like we all want to make things fun. That's a priority for me. Or I want to make sure that I build in movement for the day. So then making sure that I'm constantly asking, like, you know, to double check this agenda. Where could I add more of these things that I care about, right? So it'll hopefully help you connect more to your purpose and let students flex their creativity. I know you're all doing creative things in the classroom and centering student agency in that way and letting them create things. But if you haven't had them designing in Canva, hopefully today you'll leave with a lot of tools for that. And you'll be creating stuff before you leave today. You'll have things already ready to go, at least starting in the slow cooker. We're gonna just let things kind of simmer. You don't have to have a fully packaged lesson or resource by the end of the day. It's summer, we're just planting seeds here, but we're gonna get things started and hopefully something that you're excited about next year. That's the best part of summer, is like having time to actually think about how to do things differently, right? So I'm really excited that we're focusing on creativity today, because it's not something that comes up in a lot of teacher workshops. At KCI, maybe it does. We do a lot of fun things at KCI. But you know, in your district PD and at your school site, I don't know that they're gonna stand up there and like be highlighting creativity or having the arts teachers come up and present about things that they're doing. But it's super important because it humanizes us and it makes us feel connectedness and belonging when we create and we can tell our stories. It's also a really important skill in the world of AI that we're living in, that students still feel that they have creativity and can express themselves and all of those things. Human intelligence is greater than artificial intelligence. Your own creativity and your own things that you bring to your work, your teacher expertise, is always going to be better than what you get from AI. But when you put yourself with AI together and you use it really collaboratively, that's where things level up. That's where I see the most benefit. AI really helps to design creative, student-centered learning experiences. So it can really help you think like, how could I flip this to be more of the students creating and less of me creating? Or how could it be more student-driven? How can I bring in more student voice? Those are all questions that AI is really good at helping us see the answer, right? It's not giving us an answer, it's helping us uncover our own answers. Using AI is also a way for us to model our curiosity and to build our own AI literacy before we involve students in those things. And we're all innovators and love to experiment, so today's gonna be a big day of experimenting. And Gemini is the #1 tool that we're using for that today because it's free and super powerful. It's really good. It started out in the beginning not as good as ChatGPT. We probably all started on ChatGPT and then maybe dabbled in Gemini or Claude or some other things. And Gemini just, for me anyway, was kind of like, it's not really ready there. You know, it's not really there. It's not really giving me anything good, but it has changed and it has gotten better and better and better. And just within the last couple of months, they made the ability to make a custom GPT or a custom chatbot part of the free plan. So you don't need to have the paid version anymore to be able to create. And in ChatGPT, you do have to have the paid version to make your own chatbot. And a lot of the tools you do, but not Gemini. So spread the word, tell your friends. You're gonna teach them how to do it because it's not that hard. And it's amazing. And I just wanted to put a reminder on the bottom that AI is not the answer to our problems. You are. AI is not gonna like tell you how to do all of the things, but today we're gonna collaborate with AI as our thinking partner to help us kind of uncover the things that we maybe weren't quite thinking of yet. So these are some things that are super important to build in our students, right? These are our skills of being flexible, building their confidence, their curiosity. We all want them to be engaged, right? That we want them to express, communicate, innovate. These are super important, but all of these kind of boil down to student agency. And that is a big thing that they're gonna need in the future and today. With all of these advancements in technology, they need to have the agency to question the outputs, to to be curious, to innovate with AI, to have the confidence in their own abilities so they're not just copy and pasting what they're getting from these tools. So it's only becoming more and more urgent for us to really foster student agency.
Can I give an example? Well, actually, interaction with a student that I had. I teach high school, and I had a student who was writing the robotics/engineering club. And when he was in his sophomore year, so that would have, he just graduated. So that would have been what, 23 or so, 2023. And that he was just really concerned that AI was just going to put everybody out of business. He was in the CTE program for electromechanical. He dropped out of that, changed his major to ministry, and even though he was still thriving, this engineering club was doing a great job, but decided that with AI was going to be replacing people. And so I think that the student agency is what's driving me, because I'm seeing how it's affecting some students.
Totally. And it's a real fear. It's real fear. It's really, it is scary to think about AI taking over and taking jobs, and kids are uncertain what their futures are gonna look like. None of us know what the future is gonna look like, but if we can build that confidence that they know, what they bring to the table, what is unique about them that cannot be replaced by AI, and how do they lean into that even more? How do you even use AI to amplify the things that you do really well? Like, how can you become even more curious through using AI? That's a really interesting question to be asking, so. Okay, and then, so to build agency, this that we all know is so important, we need to be giving students choice. We need to center student voice and perspective, connect to real world audiences. I think that's a huge one. I feel like so much of what we do in school is for the teacher, and they just produce for the teacher, and there's not a whole lot of meaning in that for them. But if they're producing for a larger audience, that just connects it to the rest of the world. It feels less isolated, right? It feels more meaningful. And I know that my students really struggle with finding the meaning and purpose behind school entirely. Like, we all are probably struggling with attendance issues and, chronic absenteeism, and kids that are there even just struggling to find purpose. But giving them purpose through real world audiences is important. Embedding regular reflection is also a way to build their agency, just to build their self-awareness and confidence. Co-creating goals and criteria, which is something you might explore today, and then scaffolding creative independence and kind of teaching them how to be a decision maker. So I'm just curious what your spice level is with AI so far, with particularly with, there's a lot of things about AI that we just kind of generalize as artificial intelligence, but I'm talking about using chatbots, using an LLM, a large language model. If you could show me on your fingers 1, 2, or 3 level of spiciness, mild, medium, or hot, I would love to just know how experienced we are with using any chatbot. 1, 2. Cool, thank you very much. That's just good for my own info going forward as to how detailed I need to get. But first we are going to learn a prompting framework, and let me back it up because I hate prompting frameworks. And I hate even more the term prompt engineer, because you don't have to be an engineer to write a question. It doesn't need to be that complicated. I feel like that term kind of turns people off to things. But there is one prompt framework that has changed how I work with AI. About a year ago, I did an online Zoom AI and design thinking workshop through KCI. And the guest presenter was Dr. Saba Kidwai. And she said, prompt the human before you prompt the machine. And that just blew my mind. I was like, this is the key. This is exactly what we need to be teaching our students to do the thinking first before they go to AI and continue to iterate and refine afterwards. Like, that's so easy, right? It just made sense. It clicked for me. And then I was bought into everything else that she was saying. And she has this whole framework that is just the letters SPARK, and I'll walk you through what they stand for. But it's a way of giving enough context to the chatbot to understand your question. I think most of us, when we first started tinkering with these tools, we were using it like Google, and we go in and we ask a question, give me a lesson on blah, blah, blah. And then it gives you some bland, boring lesson, and you're like, I could have thought of those myself. It's not impressive. And then we start to learn a little bit how to give it more and ask bigger questions and ask the right questions. But we're gonna be really specific in how we're asking this question. And it's not something that you need to continue to use on paper or in this way all the time. I feel like I've now done it enough times that now I just go into my chatbot and I give it the context. So I'm gonna walk you through this, and then we're also going to be doing this with a partner in a few minutes. The paper in front of you, the placemat that has space for notes on there, there is a link on there to the slides for today. And there's also a QR code for the Spark template. And you don't need it right this very second, but if you wanted to start pulling things up for after, I'm gonna walk you through my example, and then we'll be doing your own prompt. So SPARK stands for situation, problem, aspiration, results, and kismet, asking for some serendipitous, exciting answer. So for the situation, you're just going to describe your context. What grade do you teach? Who are your learners? What's going on? Just describe. And then for problem, there needs to be some kind of need that you're trying to address or a challenge that you're trying to overcome. Instead of just going into Gemini and saying, design a lesson for blah, 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 you're going to give it all this info and say, the problem is this, here's what I'm trying to do. That's the aspiration part. What are you actually trying to do? What do you want it to help you create? And then results is going to be, keep scrolling down here, the kind of learning experience that you hope that it gives you. So you're gonna wanna mention Canva in this today so that it's giving you some ideas for how to use Canva specifically with your students. And then for Kismet, you're gonna ask it to give you 3 to 4 suggestions or ideas. And you can phrase that in a few different ways. You could say, give me a few ideas to help launch this. What are some student-centered ways to bring this to life? Suggest project formats or creative directions based on my goals. Just ask it for a few ideas. If you don't give it a number, that's fine too. You could just say, what do you got? Give me your ideas. And it'll give you the whole list. Sometimes it's a little easier to ask for 3 to 4 so that it's not giving you 8 right out the gate. But that's up to you. Sometimes I say, give me 50 ideas so that I could go through and find the best one, right? You can ask for it all in one shot, or you can continue to just say, no, I don't like those 4, give me 4 more. No, don't like those, give me 2 more. So let me read my example here. So I'm teaching a class for long-term English learners with the primary goal of passing the LPAC exam. I have 9th and 10th graders who've been in the US from 3 to 10 years. That's about all I need to give. You can always give more context and describe your situation longer, but this is kind of like the minimum of what I would give. And then my problem, there are very different motivation levels in the class. Many students are not sure why they're in the class at all, let alone why it's important. Behaviors are no bueno, and I know I can't help them improve their academic English or pass the exam by answering questions in a workbook. It's also not my style. That's the problem, is that I have a curriculum that I'm supposed to give them and expect them to pass a test, and they're going off the chains. My aspiration is I want my students to be curious, confident English speakers and writers. I want them to find the intrinsic motivation to grow in their listening, speaking, reading, and writing skills. Oh, and I didn't put all the commas and periods there, so that doesn't matter because AI doesn't care if you punctuate or capitalize or any of that. And then results, I'm really into empowerment and expression and would love to see my students create in Canva. So I'm spelling it out, I'm telling it like, this is what I want you to help me see. Anything that helps them tell stories and express their ideas in creative ways. And then what are some fun project ideas I can tie to the workbook curriculum as a supplement? And I'm not giving them any of the curriculum or any of that just yet. This is just a first rodeo of the Spark framework here. So what you guys are going to do is you are going to find a partner and you're going to use the Spark template that's here. So it's linked in the QR code on your placemat and it's in the slides. Looks like this one, it's a Google Doc. So between you and your partner, one of you is going to be like an interviewer that's asking those questions. You're gonna say, describe your situation to me. And you're going to take notes in the box and write what your partner has said. Okay, we could totally do this independently. You could go through and write it, but I want you to practice talking to AI as if it's a collaborator. And one of the best ways we can do that is by just talking to another human doing this together. So we're gonna spend 15 minutes on partner A's Spark framework, and you can fill it out, copy it, paste it into Gemini, and then see what it gives you and have a little conversation about it. It's okay if you spend most of the time working on the template and then less time in Gemini. However you want to use those 15 minutes, and then the next 15 minutes we'll go to partner B and help them with their Spark. Questions, preguntas? I'm going to come around and help, but go ahead and partner up, find someone at your table or at a different table to work with, and you'll both kind of have a, you'll make a copy of the Google Doc, and you can share it with each other if you wanted to share it and do it together, or you can just be looking over each other's shoulder on the computer and all of that when you do the chatbot stuff. But it's fun because we normally work with AI solo, and now we're working with another human. So you have two collaborators to work with. Ready, set, go.
I'm not sure that the doc is open. What's the hard thing? I tried. It's not letting me.
Okay.
Really?
Oh, weird. Why is it letting me see?
I went here. Let's try to see.
Oh, that's gonna make a copy of the slides.
Oh, okay.
And then once you
I was just where you want to be.
that should get
Should I go first? I can work back.
Yeah, let me pull. I just went off and I.
You not out there. Do you have any general idea?
Craig P. No.
Yeah, it definitely gets you a more specific output. It's not going to give you everything you need exactly on the first try. Again, we're not asking it for answers. We're just trying to gain insight from the tool to like discover something new and spark some creativity.
I wasn't sure where to necessarily put some of the things she told me in the questions, but I just like did my best.
Yep.
But then because Gemini immediately says, it does that sort of thing that is so helpful, which is, this is what I'm hearing from you, basically. And in reading that paragraph back, it stated, I thought in a very succinct way, your whole problem and your hopes, like really nicely. Before it even went into then what can you do?
What I think would be nice is if there's, and maybe there is, but if there's a planning board, so then I can take the response from the chatbot and copy and paste if in my own way, like on a Freyer model or something that I can organize the ideas I want to use and put into action, or things I want to reword to get a better result.
I totally do that with just a Google Doc. That's my
Right.
workflow, is to just
Yeah.
copy, dump it in a doc, and then I come back to that doc
Right.
and revise from there,
Organize
or
it,
put it
yeah.
back into Gemini and tweak from there. But yeah, I think having a landing place is a great strategy.
You can also ask it for a visual, right?
Mhm.
You can experiment with that, and even if it's not perfect, it'll give you enough ideas to go, like, I don't like this one, but I like these elements.
Right.
But, so some of them do have visual things that you can, I don't think they've totally got that fact together yet, but
Right.
like you might type in and see. if
I
you
could see
do a
myself
page.
just
Can
printing
you-
it,
Can you type
and
in
it's
it?
visual, like still being very physical with it, just in the way I learn and process.
Yeah. Yeah, we definitely didn't get into like how to interact with AI yet, or with the chatbot yet. I wanted you to experiment with the thinking beforehand, the pre-thinking, and then just seeing what it gave you. But we can definitely get into like the iteration aspect and all of that when we get into the building of our gem, which is coming up next. But other reflections on the Spark framework? Okay, all right, well, hopefully it gave you some good things to work with, but even if it didn't, it's about to get a lot better. Because we were just giving that to Gemini without training it. But now we're going to train it to truly know what you're trying to get at and give you better outputs. And you won't have to constantly come back and give it the whole context every single time, because it will already know. And how many of you are ChatGPT fans? Okay, yeah. I started out, I go back and forth between Gemini and ChatGPT, but I think one of the best things about ChatGPT is that it remembers who you are. It remembers what you're gonna ask for, and it predicts what you want. And that's the beauty of like why it keeps you coming back, because you don't have to spell everything out every single time. But we can do the same thing with Gemini by building a gem. That's kind of our hack. It's our workaround for not having to, it's not gonna remember from conversation to conversation. It's not gonna remember all your different chats, like what you teach, who your learners are, all of that stuff. But if you train your gem to know that, and you go to that same thread every time, then it will. So, your placemat is a great place to take notes. I've added here a quick start guide to creating gems. You don't need to open that right now. It's something that I'm also gonna put on a document full of links for you after today to take home. That's just like a refresher if you needed to go back and create another gem later and you weren't sure of the steps, or you wanted to share it with a friend or something. This quick start guide, Gemini created for me.
So this term gems is generic, that's what Gemini
It is what
uses.
Gemini calls their custom GPTs. Other people call them, we just generally say chatbots or LLMs, which is short for large language models. Gemini calls them gems, but they're all pretty much the same. I saw this morning, you guys. I had to add this to my slides this morning because I get this newsletter from Connor Grennan called AI Mindset. And he said, our immediate assumption is that the AI isn't smart enough when we get like these generic or bland outputs. But the real issue is that we're asking it to be a key team player without ever giving it a key to the office. And that just felt so tied to what we're doing with creating a gem today, because we are now giving it the keys to the office and we're going to train it up so that it works even better for us. Okay, oops. Not a commercial break. We're going to Gemini. So if you want to follow along with me and build a gem while I build a gem, you can. Or if you want to just watch and take notes, you will have time afterwards to build your gem afterwards. So whichever way works for you, however you want to learn. So I'm in my Gemini, and you'll see over on the left, it says explore gems. Gems. Oh, I'm already there. It just automatically does it. And then I'm going to click on new gem. And so this is where I'm going to give it a name. So I'm going to build, let's see, I'm going to call it a lesson planner. That's boring, but you want to give it a name so that you know what that chatbot is trained on. Actually, let me give it, I'm gonna use my ELD class as an example, so I'm gonna say LPAC for the exam that we could take. The instructions. You can go over to Gemini and have it help you write instructions, but it also does that here. So I'm gonna start writing in my own instructions, just kind of giving it the job description. And then there's some magic that we're gonna do to that. So you are an expert. Teaching lessons. I'm gonna leave it super short like that. Oh, I'm gonna say actually one more thing. You are helping me plan activities to help my high school pass the LPAC. Yeah. Okay, so not a whole lot of context, but just a little bit. But when you click on this little magical pencil down here with the little sparkle, it's going to rewrite the instructions for me. What? So give it a second to think. So now it is saying, let me make this bigger for you guys. There we go. Now it has kind of leveled up. It's added purpose and goals. Okay. Offer differentiated strategies, incorporate best practices. Okay, so then behaviors and rules. I didn't give it any rules. I didn't tell it how to behave, but it is suggesting this in the instructions, that it's going to greet me and introduce itself as the LPAC lesson planner. I could leave that out, or I could leave it in, or I could take it out. I can decide right now. I'm still editing this. It's gonna ask me about specific areas of the exam that I want to focus on, inquire about the general proficiency levels of my students. And then activity planning, it's gonna give me 2 to 3 detailed activity ideas for every time I ask. It's gonna link it to the standards, give suggested material. So it filled in all of these gaps of what I didn't give it. And then it's gonna give me expert guidance, and then it even added the tone. So I could go in and start changing all of this right now. I could say like, don't be professional, make it funny. Like I could change any of these instructions, but I'm gonna leave it for right now. And I'm gonna go to the next part, which is knowledge down here. So these are where you can add files for it to reference. So when we don't give it any knowledge and we're just interacting with Gemini like we did right before this, it's pulling from its own data set. It's pulling from all of the data it's been trained on. But if you give it your own files, it is going to pull from those more specifically than just from all of the things that it knows. So this is a great place to give it your standards, to give it, you know, a practice LPAC exam. I could give it the curriculum guide for the year. I could give it a list of the things my students like. I'm gonna take off their names. I'm not gonna give student identifiers, but I might say student A likes blah, blah, blah. I could have a whole document about my kids. The languages that they speak. I could add from my drive, or I can upload the files. So if you link it to your drive, just make sure that you've labeled everything in your drive so that you can find it and upload the right thing. And once you add it, it kind of like takes a picture of it. So if you go back to your drive and you edit the doc, it's not going to update in your gem. So just know that once you upload it, if you make any changes, you need to go and fix that in your gem.
You don't ever put like a student's like IEP or their personal information?
No personal information. So as long as you take the names off, you can put the descriptors that are on their IEP. You can put their goals.
This many students with these accommodations, but don't ever tie it to an individual.
Which is good practice for that. Yes.
For knowledge, can you put you can specify journals? Like
Yes.
Scholarly journals, JAMA, for example.
Yep. Yep, if there's like certain teaching strategies, And you know you have a doc from a PD session that you just did, or you just, you know, had a workshop at school and they gave you a handout. Take a picture of it, upload the file. Download the PDF, upload the file. Create your own notes. You know, if you have notes from a session on a Google Doc, all your notes from the day, upload that.
You can use slides, like Google
Yeah.
Slides.
Yeah, download it and upload it.
Download it as a PDF.
Yeah, you can't like add the link on here, but download it as a PDF.
Okay. Whoa.
Yep, and so you can put all the resources you want here. I wouldn't do more than like 10. That's getting a little wild. Yes, if it gets too many, then it gets a little wonky. I would leave it to like the key things that you want in there. But that's a game changer.
Could you
So-
add YouTube URLs?
You cannot, you have to upload a file or add from Drive, but you could get the transcript from the video and you could put that in a doc and you could upload that. So you can be creative there. And you don't always have to put that in the gem. So the gem is the thing that you're gonna constantly come back to, right? This is a resource that we're building that we're gonna use more than once. You're not gonna create a gem just to have a conversation one time. You're trying to create something that you can use repeatedly. So if it's a video that you're just gonna reference one time for something, you might not put it in the knowledge base, but it might be something that you copy and paste the transcript in the actual chat that you're having. And you say, you know, summarize this video, give me 3 takeaways, and you use them as inspiration for this activity that we're gonna build or whatever. Or pull out a quote that I can put in my slides or whatever it is. So let me go to my Drive and add something so that we add some knowledge here.
You just stuck something in
Okay, standards. Okay. And then you can test it over on the right. This is a preview, so you can like start asking questions. And when I asked Gemini to help write that quick start guide with like all the steps, it said like, be sure not to skip this step where you're testing it before you save it. But honestly, once you save it, you're gonna continue to test it and go back and change it anyway. So I usually just click save because I don't wanna waste time having a chat here that's not going to auto save, right? Because once this is like a preview window. So I'm just gonna save it. Ta-da, save, and it might not be the best version, but it's what it is to get started, right? Just gotta start with something. So now I have my LPAC lesson planner. Now I could say, I don't need to give it tons of context because it already knows from the instructions. It knows that we're teaching multilingual learners that are high school, that we're studying for the LPAC. So now I can just say, give me, I'm gonna say 10 because I like a lot of ideas. Give me 10 ideas for how I can help my students practice their speaking skills. And now I didn't give it the full Spark framework type format of the question either. So I could build that into my gem if it's something that like you're always gonna want it to give you. It could be a Canva inspiration gem, right? And so you could give it all that context and be like, always give me something that my students can create in Canva. Always, you know, the aspirational goal is always to build student agency. I want them to build communication skills, expression. You can put that in your gem. So you don't have to give that context every time, or you could just continue to be thinking about that. So let's see what it says here.
I forgot to ask you, is the students' use of Canva free?
Students do get to use Canva for free, and teachers have the Canva for Education account for free, which is like the pro version. You can get that for free if you don't already have it. The QR code is on the placemat. And if you invite students into your Canva, then they have the pro version as well. They will have the free version, just logging in on their own. Everyone in the world can log into the free version of Canva and do stuff, but if you want them to have the pro elements and like special features, then you have to
Is that
give
usually
them a link
organized
to
by
invite
school
them.
or just by individual teacher?
Individual teacher needs to invite their kids. There's like a code you can give them or a link, and we can go through that later.
Could you, I'm having a difficulty just navigating, let me see if I can figure it out. Over where it says enter a prompt for Gemini, I hit the paper airplane.
Uh-huh.
Oh, there, okay, now it's scrolling. It wasn't scrolling. I thought I did something wrong. Okay, thank you.
So like Pamela was asking earlier about like, what do we do once we, have all these ideas and we want to save some, like it's saving this whole chat, and I can always like scroll back up the thread, or I could just ask it. I could say like, a while back you gave this idea that I can't quite remember, but I think it involves slides, and it might go back and like look through the chat. It's not going to go through different gems or different chats, but if you're in the same thread, it could probably find what you're looking for in that thread. But at the bottom of this list of suggestions, there's also a copy. So it'll copy the whole thing in one click. If you wanted to copy and paste it there. If you go to share, it will export directly to a Google Doc. And it will also draft an email for you. So if you created a whole gem on emails, how you want them to help you write emails, then you could take those responses and directly go to your thing. Redo lets you kind of erase that, like just redo, and it'll give me 10 different ideas. Then I don't even have to type in like try again. It'll just redo.
It's kind of funny that this is a Google thing, but it makes us save. We're so used to not saving in Google, but it's saving.
Oh, so it is auto saving everything except when
Okay.
you create the gem, you have to click save. But yes, you're right. There is
Okay.
a save
Okay.
button there.
Does it store, like, because if you save it, it stores like files?
So now I zoomed out too much, or zoomed it too much. Let's go back. Not quite showing my full screen here. No, that's not it. So these are my gems over here. So once you save the gem, it saves it over there. And so every time I want to use that type of gem, I can click on it. And so it's got the recent chat here. And this is now going to be a new chat unless I go back to that same chat. So you can go back to the same chat if there was some reason to go back to that same chat, if you wanted to find something, but you can also just, this is like a folder. This is your folder. And then these are your files in the folder, and you can start a new one down here. So you don't need to save anything other than when you set up your gem on the left. And remember, we want to explore gems. And then they have some that are pre-made by Google up here that you can play with, or you can click on and make a new gem. And that's the only place that you have to save in order to create the folder gem.
So it's not letting us create folders to organize them. Yeah.
It is the folder. The gem is the folder.
Right, so essentially the list could be really long on that side column with all the
Yes, you
things.
could have like all the different types of gems that you want in here. And then within the gem, it will have all the different chats if you had like different topics. So like, let's see, did I do multiple on this one? I have a couple accounts, so I don't know what's.
Oh, so I can go back into one and add a new prompt.
Yeah, so I made this
Oh.
project idea
Okay,
gem, and then this was one chat and this was a separate chat.
okay, so it is.
So it'll keep all my
Okay.
recent chats, and then if I type in here, it starts a new chat.
Got it, okay.
Yeah, so this is like the folder, and these are the conversations within that folder. And it will save everything, it's just a matter of going back and finding it.
I'm wondering, is this also the thing you would employ to create a chatbot to work with your students? Would also be a gem?
So Gemini sharing the gems, I think you have to have the paid version to share a gem. So no, I would not.
If you want to have a chatbot for your students, that's something.
It would not be Gemini,
Okay.
unless your district paid for it.
Like my school's paying for something, I just don't know what it is.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is.
Yeah, whatever they're paying for already is what you want to use. If it's Magic School or Brisk or any of those,
But if you want your students to go and interact, this is not the
this is not it, unless your district has signed up for.
unless you
that
tell them to go in
feature.
and create it for them, but that's such a pain, right?
Right. So these are gonna be gems for you as a teacher, or as an administrator, or as, you know, a human being. It could be a gem about, you know, meal ideas, right? Yes, exactly.
So how did you get back to be able to modify the gem that you had just used?
Oh yeah, good one. Okay, so I've got my gems over here. I've got the 3 dots. And now, oh, I can pin one if I really like it to the top, or edit. And now it's gonna go right back to those instructions. So now I can say, okay, I really didn't like that it's gonna introduce itself every single time. That's annoying. So I'm gonna take that off. And then, you know, maybe I like it prompting me with like what I wanted to ask. I don't think that. So maybe I could leave that. And then maybe I'll take off this, right? So you can go back and edit. You could change the tone. All of this is editable, so you could change it. And you could even probably do this again. Let's do a little magic, see what happens. Just make sure you have it saved somewhere. You know, if you didn't want it to change what was on there, make sure you copy it. And then I wonder if it filled anything in or just renumbered. Start with the welcoming and professional greeting. So it gave me like a different type of opening now. And it added back in the one that I just deleted. So. Yeah, so it's gonna fill in those gaps, and you can continue to tweak, and then you could be like, oh, it wasn't quite specific enough, like I gave it the standards, but maybe I need to give it more information about the LPAC, so then I'm gonna upload more things about the LPAC. Or maybe I'm gonna upload something about, you know, specific strategies that I want it to give me. And then I could go back to the instructions and be like, always pull from the strategies in the knowledge.
I have a question about the knowledge section in terms of copyright issues for things that we upload. Like, I know that that's just a really tricky, weird area. Like, so you were saying, like, you went to a PD and you had the stuff, but like, it's just for the people that, I mean, that's just there's no way to police that in this system anymore, right? Like, there's no, am I making sense?
Yes.
Like there's lots of places like you can use it with your kids, but then so is that like, okay, we're using it to plan a lesson for the kids? Does that, I think it's a complicated, weird legal question, which I don't expect you to have the answer to, but I'm just wondering what, yeah.
What similar question, because I put in, I was wanted to create a chatbot for students to answer questions about the early people of California. And we have access to the curriculum, and I downloaded from our texts and then uploaded it in the gem to see if that could be the reference that it uses if kids are and or students are interacting with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that was kind of my question too, although we have access to it.
Right.
But I'm only using it for students in the class. That's the benefit. So then I was kind of justifying thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
But also it's,
Yeah.
There is a difference between the free and the paid version in that the paid version is going to not use anything that you upload to train the models. So when we use the free tier of pretty much any tool, any data that you give it, it's going right back into the data set that trains future models. So I would assume if we're putting anything in the knowledge of a free plan, that whatever you put in there is going to be part of the universe that is training future versions of Gemini. And so those things might come out in the output, but it's also scraping those things from the internet, from wherever else they're getting their data.
Okay.
So I don't feel like I'm putting anything in there that isn't available on the internet anyway, other than student information. Right? That's why we don't want to put information like that or photos of kids into these free tools, because then they might come out in someone else's output later. And I had the creepiest thing come up just like a month or two ago, where I was in ChatGPT and I had asked a question about a quote that I read online and the author, and it gave me a photo of someone unprompted, and it was someone I knew on LinkedIn. And it was like the weirdest thing. And I was like, this is exactly why you don't want to upload a bunch of photos, because they're going to end up in the data set and come out somewhere else. And it was so crazy that I actually experienced like this random photo. I hadn't even asked for a photo. I was like, why are you giving me this photo of this influential writer on LinkedIn?
And what did you say was the difference between the paid version in this same
I think
context?
sharing gems is something that you have to pay for. I don't think that the free plan lets you share a gem.
But in terms of the knowledge.
And then as far as the knowledge, I I think that it will probably train, the free will probably train future data, be part of the data. But the paid, it says that you're not training future models.
Okay.
So if your school were to subscribe to that paid version, then anything you put in there is protected. So if your school has Magic School or Brisk or any of those other things, they probably have a data privacy agreement that's signed saying that your data is not going to train future models. In those cases, I still don't put student information because, you know, how much do we really trust these big tech companies? But I feel okay giving it all these other things because it's saying it's not going to train other models. It's not going to take that information. It's just going to stay within the system.
It does say that on there. It's underneath, under the district's email that I use, but when I use my personal, it doesn't say that.
Oh, okay, that might be the difference. Thank you. I did read something about that, so thank you for bringing that up. So it's not necessarily a free thing, it's just which email you're using, because your district will protect.
I also just read that sharing your gems, if you're using an enterprise account, which is what most of our districts are using, you can't share gems created in an enterprise account.
But personal. But these are all going to be for you. So it's still really useful to have like this teacher assistant that's going to help you think through things that you're doing. There's a lot of value in that. I know we want to share gems and we want to share chatbots with students, but there's other tools that are going to do that in safer and better ways. But I find that Gemini is going to be really handy for these like lesson planning, or if you're creating resources for staff, or you know, just rewriting the emails, that kind of stuff. Were you gonna ask, Suzanne?
I was gonna ask, is Brisk a totally different company?
Yes.
Okay, how are we feeling about gems? Do you wanna go and try and make one? And then we'll take a break. Can we, or do we need to break right now? Right, okay, let's take a break now. 10-minute break. And then we'll come and make a gem. And then we'll have some Canva fun after that. So I'll come around and help you come up with ideas for what you want to build your gem with, but your Spark prompt that you came up with is a good starting point because you've already thought through a problem that you want to solve and kind of what you want to do with it. And so that would guide you towards creating your first gem. If you wanted to kind of go through that process again and create something else, you could create multiple gems right now. But we're going to have a little bit of work time. We'll give it maybe 15 minutes. Shouldn't take too long to build the gem, but remember that you can use that little magical pencil to fill in the gaps. You don't have to give it all the context. Just go through your Spark. You could probably copy your Spark, put it right in there. And you could even, you know how the pencil is magical, but you can also open another window and have another chat, and you could ask it to like write the instructions there as well. If you wanted to be like, here's my initial thoughts on this, and copy and paste your Spark stuff and be like, turn this into instructions for a gem. And that might give you another starting point as well. And then you can also use a magical pencil. But I'll give you your work time and let me know if you have questions and I can come around and help.
Oh, yeah. My question is just, do I need to be worrying about the energy this takes? Because I hear people talking about all the energy AI is taking.
There is an environmental impact. We'll address this for everyone. There is an environmental impact of AI that we do need to be mindful of, but I also want to put it in perspective of we've got all our stuff in the cloud. We're all on our laptops right now. Like we're using energy and just destroying the earth anyway. Not that it makes it any different. I'm not putting the environmental impact on me. I'm putting it on the tech companies. Need to figure that out, and they need to be building sustainable solutions. Okay. So while I want to be mindful, I think doing the pre-thinking before going to the chatbot makes my use intentional and purposeful, and I feel a lot better about
so you're not
my
having to regenerate.
exactly. So I'm not overusing
Okay.
AI. I'm just using it for what I need it for, and that makes me feel a lot better about the environmental impact, but it is something that we should be pushing the companies to solve for. You know, faster than they create new models, they should be building
Working
these
on,
sustainable.
Okay, thank you, I just
Um,
started using
things.
clean energy to power it or
Right,
something.
yeah.
Right, but it is something to address, and it is something that students might even ask about as they learn about the environmental impact. They may be like, I'm not using this, I'm not gonna use AI, and that's fine. They don't always have to use AI. You know, most of the time we're telling them no, but if there's something that you wanted them to create and they're like, oh no, this is too much water, too much energy, then you could kind of counter that by just letting them know, like put it in perspective. How long are you binge watching on Netflix?
Right.
What else, what is something else that you could cut out in order to use this other technologies, like a give and take?
Yeah, there are also schools and a lot of more in high school, but there are like student advisory groups that have been formed that like they will kind of do their own, not policing of it, but where they're using it and they're actively thinking about how climate change is being impacted by the use of AI. And so from the, you know, from a teacher's perspective, I agree. I think it's really important that we're constantly thinking about it, but students are actively thinking about it as well, and our Gen Z students are very like mindful of those things, which is awesome.
Right.
But it is being discussed at some of these high schools where these advisory committees are being formed, and students are taking it into account and are also kind of, you know, owning it and being advocates for it. So just FYI as well.
Thanks. Another good conversation.
You could create a whole gem about environmental impacts of AI to help you find ways to combat that. And it might give you ideas for like tech-free days or, you know, like things like that. That would be a great idea.
Why would you create a whole new gem versus just use your sort of teacher gem? That's what I'm trying to understand. Why do I need all these separate gems?
What is your teacher gem?
The one that helps me with lesson planning. Because to me, that feels like it still fits under my lesson planning gem. Because I made mine very generic.
I was thinking of it as kind of different personality, like you might want to have one for your lesson plan, you might want to have one for planning for parent-teacher conferences, or like different lenses. Okay. And it might be very similar, but it might help with kind of the different perspectives.
So you've actually seen the value to having it be very targeted on one very
For
specific.
specific things, and you don't have to make a gem for every single thing.
Okay.
You can just go to Gemini and give it what you gave it. And
I
you
just
guys were
asked- I
already
just
getting
asked
good
for, like-
stuff the first time we were doing this.
Which is kind of like ChatGPT, you know, you just plug it in and play,
Yes.
right? So if we wanted to be more specific, that would be the paid version of ChatGPT probably.
Right, the
Yeah.
paid version of ChatGPT, you create a custom GPT.
Okay, see, I just
just
created
like
a gem
this.
with all my curriculum documents, my teaching philosophy, and I figure that's my gem now. I didn't realize I would create one for something else, because that's a lot of work for me. Have to keep creating.
And you
these
don't
things.
need to have a lot. You pick and choose what's useful for you. Maybe you are just using that one,
I'm missing.
but it's more tailored than just pulling from the entire data set, right? So that's your more focused one. And maybe that's it. Maybe you do just have that one. And maybe as you use it, then you're like, you know, I find myself using it for this one particular thing all the time. Maybe you are using it for emails more than once. And then you're like, maybe I'll just write a separate gem for emails later, right? So it'll evolve as you get into things.
I was gonna do one for the different
Yeah, that's-
classes I teach.
Oh,
You just
nice,
plug
yeah.
in
Put it in the
your
for that class.
units.
Yeah, units, this is a curriculum I really like.
I have a question.
I gotta add more.
Gemini can make
You have it
images.
generated.
Yeah, that's it. Find those exclamation
It's
points.
always something.
Can make images.
No, you can
Yeah.
use the,
Need advice.
there was that person on the site,
Yeah.
so I was that person.
This is in a
for
gem.
I write my
a
own
year,
notes.
and
What do you want us to
the
do?
amount of times
So it gave
that
me a project idea
just
and I
was
wanted a
how much
visual
an issue.
example.
Yeah, I helped out with that
Yeah.
one year, a couple of years at a school.
Yeah.
That's all that. Really
I
nice.
think maybe ask it for an
Yeah,
image.
so just like
So-
Yeah.
it's the easiest.
Well, this is what it did with what I wrote.
Okay.
And then it says, I can't
I added
display,
that to just.
I can't create and display images in our chat right now.
And I put that I
I
really
mean,
like
it's
to
in a
incorporate
gem, so
teaching,
maybe
that I
that's-
really need to emphasize safety, that I want to just scientific method.
Right.
Yeah, engineering design cycle.
So this
And I
then,
did put that I have.
Sometimes they just do
Yeah,
what
yeah,
my
yeah.
name's like, and it's been there since my
I
kids.
was wondering if I was missing something.
Yeah.
I'm like, did it just base it on that?
Cause there is specifically Canva for education is what you want to be in. You get it for free as a teacher, so just make sure you're getting that. You can still do all of the things that we're doing in the free version for the most part. But if you can have Pro for free, then have Pro for free. Justin, do you know how I can make this like not cut off my screen on the side? It's like not showing the whole thing. I just need to resize this manually. Okay. Okay. All right, so to get started, it has your designs that you've already created if you've done anything on the bottom here under recent designs. And then up on the top, you'll see these 3 buttons for your designs, templates, and Canva AI. This is new, very fun. If you want to look for a template, you're going to search the templates, and then you can describe what you're looking for. Next month, I'm doing a workshop on podcasting. So I'm gonna put in podcast, and then it's got templates for like all the cover art. So if your kids are podcasting, part of their project could be creating their cover art, that kind of thing. And you can use these buttons here to search specific things, styles within that. It just kind of narrows the search a little bit. Templates are great starting points, but Canva AI is going to make a custom template with your information. This is new, so it's not perfect. I find that some of the things it gives me are kind of ugly, but it gives me a starting point that I can tweak, just like a template would, right? Like when I get a template, I'm not just gonna fill in my information, I'm gonna like change the colors and like add elements and make it cute, because that's fun. But Canva AI has design for me, so you can describe your idea and it will design either slides or social media posts, like it'll kind of pick something for you based on what you write in the text. You can create an image. So if you click on this button right here, you can describe your image. I was trying to make one that was like a cross stitch on a border hoop, but look at the text. It like didn't get the words right. And then let me X out of image, but it does do some okay images there. You can draft a doc. So it will make like a Canva document. Code for me is new and kind of crazy, because if you click code for me, you can describe something you want to create, and it will make, these are examples of what you can do, an interactive pricing calculator that you can share with clients, interactive historical timeline, interactive menu for your restaurant, interactive flashcard game, countdown timer. These are ideas for things that they have coded in here. Actually, if I click on this, click on it and see what it does. Oh, so then if I click on it, it gives me the instructions right here. And then when I click on this little thing, it's going to generate the code to create that app or whatever it is that you're designing. So these are like ideas down here, a matching memory game. These will kind of get you thinking about things that you could code for your students. But you could also just dream it up, or you could use Gemini to help you think of that too. Like, you want something interactive that students can use to, I don't know, categorize these different topics. And you want it, you know, on a slide, you know, it could be in your Canva slide deck, or it could be a completely separate website. It'll give you both options after you code it. So it kind of takes a long time. So I'm just gonna click it right now and let it think. But it's gonna like type out the code and then actually generate the thing. That might take a few minutes, so I'm gonna keep talking while I do that. But Canva AI, I think, has been helpful for me in creating like student-facing instructions. I was just talking to someone about that kind of thing. This was from a workshop I did a couple weeks ago. Some of you guys were there for the AI literacy. I saw Justin trip on this earlier, and I just did the same freaking thing. To make like a note taker handout, like question thing, so that you're prompting the human. I was never having them prompt the machine. Like for students, you might not have them using chatbots, but you still want to give them some kind of resources to like handouts and things. It's good for that. If you want to just describe like, oh, I want to have a space for reflection, I want to ask these questions, and then you put it in Canva AI and it will give you not just the template, but it will have like the outline and like text already on it for you. So that's kind of like a good starting off point with Canva AI. And this was a document that I made. I used the document feature because it just made it look pretty, right? Like I don't want to spend all my life, as much as I like designing, I don't want to have to spend all my life like formatting and thinking of what to put on there to start with. And it's never something that I just grab and go. It's not going to give me grab and go. I still want to tweak and add my own things on here. But it does give you a pretty good draft. Oh yeah, it's done already.
Have you found a space in Canva where, like, I'm always looking for just black and white because I'm not using color printing. So is there a space for that that's specifically just black and white?
No, but that's something
They
that I
should have
want.
it, yeah.
I want to be able to create something and then have a button to like preview it in black and white
Right.
so that I know what it's going to look like when I actually print it out and
Yeah.
copy it in black and white. I think there's a space to like tell Canva you want that.
Okay, I'll find it.
Feedback.
Yes. Give feedback way down there. You can
But then
add
could you
it.
push this out through Google Classroom and have them do it digitally?
I don't use Google Classroom. My school district has Canvas. But you can link up Canva and your Google Classroom or even Canvas. You can, yes. So it made this little digital birthday card. Woo! I can use in a design and it will put it in like a design, slides or something. Or it gives me these other options to make a website, put it in a doc or a whiteboard. And you can continue to chat with it over here to make tweaks. I think the only thing kind of shitty about that is it regenerates. So if there's something that you liked about this, it might go away. So just keep that in mind with Canva AI, like it's gonna totally regenerate for you every time. Okay,
Right.
that's the intro to Canva AI. So fun.
Okay, okay.
I'm gonna paste it into
Let's go to slides, presentation.
So you just copied it?
So I'm in just a blank slide deck right now. And if you go to design, there's a bunch of templates in here that you can pull from. You can search, oops. You can search for different templates. You can also look by like color or different themes, and it will give you all these starting points. So if you didn't want to start with a template, you know, on that main page, this is another place to grab one. Layouts are kind of cool because then you could kind of have your own design if you wanted to have your own image in the background or whatever, but then you just wanted to have a couple columns that look pretty over it. You can just make that one click. And then styles. I think we kind of ignore styles. We don't always click over all the way to get to that, but I've created a brand kit, which is, I have a lot of different brand kits because I've got a lot of different color schemes and things that I like. But I have one for KCI. Where's my KCI? There it is. Ta-da! Now it makes my whole thing all KCI and I can shuffle through my little color palette that I've made. So if you have like a color scheme that you like for your class, or if you're trying to make things on brand for your school or whatever, you can make a brand kit and that's gonna be over here on the left. And you do have to be in your pro account for that, or Canva for Education.
So let's say you created an image or a slide, where do you save, how do you save it?
Oh, how do you save it? Let me go back to that.
Because it says make a copy download.
Download. Yes, if you're making an image and
So
you
like
want to.
instead of like.
Yep.
and or like-
Oh, so to share. And then download. And then you can choose, if you want it to be like a JPEG or PNG or PDF or a GIF or a video. And then it'll save to your computer in that way.
It does not save on Canva.
It will be saved automatically in your recent designs.
Okay.
It'll be here.
And those live perpetually or they're kind of time?
So they stay there forever.
Wow.
I've been using Canva for years and all of my stuff from the last few years is all still there, so it's there. So she was asking, how do you save what you've got? So share. And okay, if you get like a link here, copy link, I can change the access to anyone with the link can either edit, view, just like in Google. And then download. And then right here, I can choose all the different ways that I want it to save. So I could save it as a video, as a JPEG, as a GIF, right? And it'll loop. I could make PDFs. That's probably what you're gonna use if you want to print it, right? So if I want PDF for print, then I can go for printing and then save. And you can click on save the settings if you're gonna come back to that document and like continue. I guess you don't need to actually click save. You can also pull from other projects. So if you have something like, okay, I'm building this slide deck and I'm gonna add a blank page, but I wanna pull from a previous slide deck that I've already made. Over here in projects are my other projects. So I'm gonna say, oh, I wanna pull from all my slides from today. Ta-da, and it's now in the slide deck. I think that's like a big bonus for using slides in Canva, because all your Google slides don't quite talk to each other in that same way. Okay, so design and styles, and don't ignore the brand kit. You're gonna wanna edit and create a brand kit with your own custom colors and fonts you can choose to. That just makes things easy if you're like constantly branding stuff. When you go to add text, there's also Magic Write in here. So, Magic Write. So you can describe your thing. I don't know. The environmental AI is. Let's see what it says. Let's see what Magic Write is. So it's going to give me some text, and then I can insert that right into my slide, or I can ask for more like this or this, but, and give it directions for doing something different. This, but shorter. I didn't read it, but now it's gonna insert. Oh my God, that's crazy. It's all in the same text box. So then I have to kind of tweak from there because I had clicked on the box when I did that. But that's how you use Magic Write. You can type right there. Uploads, this is where you add like any images or other things that you want to pull in to your design. So you could click on upload files and pull from your desktop or your downloads to add anything extra. Same for videos and audio. Oh, there's me and my kids. So you could record yourself here and add audio of your directions or something that, you know, if this is a resource for students to click through, then you could add audio for that. Tools is going to give you like writing tools, typing tools, and then apps. Don't ignore the apps, because this is where you will find all kinds of cool things, like bulk create. It will do like certificates. Like if at the end of the year you're doing certificates for every kid and you want every kid's name on a thing, but you don't want to have to type it onto every single slide, you can make the template of the certificate, and then it gives you a space to like put in all the names, and it will create all 30 certificates from bulk create. You can translate, and I actually don't usually click on it from the apps right here. There's a better way to translate that I'll show you in a little bit. But if you add QR codes to things, that's in the apps. Let me actually click on your apps. These are probably ones that I use the most. Emojis. QR codes are in there. AI music and music generators. What? Colorize things, Giphy, YouTube. So if I want to add a YouTube video to this, I could go to apps and click on YouTube. I don't know why it's giving me those, but then I'll say Canva. Oh, how to sell Canva templates. Then I can click on that and it will add it to my slides embedded.
Can you show us how to edit?
What are you trying to edit?
So I asked for it to create 5 slides and it did, and one of them is not to my liking, so I'm like, where do I go to edit? Like, I don't like this picture, I wanna change it.
Okay, she's on Canva AI and it gave her like a template. So then you go to use Canva editor. And then it opens up in like the editing mode.
Okay.
And you can change everything. So yes, do I need to show that? Did you guys see slides about AI? Didn't ask for anything specific there, so we'll see what that gives me. Just gonna give you some slides. Okay, so it gives you a few different options. You might be like, okay, this one's the least ugly, but I don't like slide number 2. So I was telling her to go up here to use Canva editor. So that's where you kind of select it. And then now it's in the normal mode where you can go through and change everything. So now if I go to my design styles and I go to my ACI color palette, you don't need to have nearly the number of crazy color palettes that I do. Ta-da, now it's all on brand and I can make it apply to all pages. Ta-da. And then I could go, you know what, I really don't like slide number 2. I'm just gonna delete it or I'm gonna hide it. Put it away for now, then it'll skip when you're in present mode. Or you could drag it and move it to another one spot.
How do you talk to AI? So like, let's say I don't like that image on the top. So how do I talk to AI so that it changes it?
You don't need to talk to AI, you just need to click on it and then the 3 dots. And, oh, sorry. I thought that was gonna go like this, but I'm gonna go to elements, scratch that, go to elements. What do we want an image of? Computer. And then it's gonna always have graphics on the top, but then the next line is photos. And then sometimes it has these cool frames, which you can drop onto your page and then drag a photo into that and it'll be like on the screen. So like
So you went to elements?
So I'm gonna go to elements and I'm gonna look for photo here. And then once I find one I like, I can either click on it to add to the screen and like drag it into that frame. That's what I would do. I would drag it into the frame.
Thank you.
Or you can. Yep, and you can change all your photos like that. And you can change, so I did styles and changed the color of the whole thing, but if you wanted to change like just one color, you could click on this one thing and then up here where there's the little dot. Then you can select a color or add a new color. And if you have a hex code for a color or you just want to drag around and find a shade that you like, you can do that. This is for the transparency, so it'll make something not solid. Make it kind of faded. If you click on animate, then it's got all these little animation tools, just like in Google Slides and things, where you can make things kind of fade in and out, blur in and out, and you can make it appear on the click, so that every time you click, each thing goes boom, boom, boom. Or you can set it to the whole page, and it will magic animate. Will animate your entire page for you, and it'll pick like the animation that it thinks works best for your design. It picked digital, and so it'll do that. I can also take it off if I want to remove it, and maybe try another one. Let's animate. I use position a lot because it helps me line everything up. So if I wanted to, let me go to another slide. If I had like just kind of put this text on here, like just typing in little text boxes, and I want to line them all up, I'm gonna go boom, boom, boom. I'm gonna click on all of them. Oops, I didn't click it. I'm gonna highlight them all, and then I'm gonna say align left. Oops, I didn't do that right. Click, click, click.
Do you feel like this is saving you time?
The individual tweaking is not a time saver, no.
Okay.
I'm just showing you how to do it. Because your students are probably going to be creating in Canva.
Do you think in Canva is more
I'm
tool
giving you
for them
basics.
to create product or for us to create?
Both. Both. It depends on what you're trying to achieve. I think Canva is a great tool for me to create things that are easier for my students to understand, like giving them guides and giving them slides that are really clear and visual. Like it's good for me to get my ideas out, but then it's also great for them to get their ideas out if I want them to be doing presentations or making videos, or they can do podcasts in here, they can do infographics. There's just so many things that they can create in Canva, and they'll figure out all of those different little tools that I was showing you. So I'm trying to show you first so that you have an idea of some of the things you can do visually in there. But yeah, just.
Do you feel like it's then, it creates living documents? Because a lot of what we were generating through the AI were like supposed to be like templates that then kids would go in and do reflection in it. Are they doing that reflection in here where they were like controlling the slide? Or does it almost create like a form, like in Google Forms, where then you're just putting in your reflection?
It depends how you want to use it.
Can it be used that way?
It can be something that you print and give to them on paper. It could be something that's a guide for them to look at. It could be something that you're giving every kid a copy to edit, just like you would like a Google Doc. So if you go to the share, and it's usually hiding under see all. I can't see from this angle. Is there a shared template link? Template link right here. Template link is going to give everyone their own copy. So you can share the template link. That's how I shared the placemat, or no, the slides for today. Was through a template link. So then when they open that, it opens like their own version that they can then edit and tinker in.
Okay,
So that's a great way to use.
But it's not just like a typing window. It's got all, whenever they're in Canva, they've got all this.
Yes, they've got all the things.
Yeah, so I can see why you end up printing it out, because if I don't want kids just lost in like making color changes and.
It depends on what
swirling around.
the project is or the assignment
I'm
is.
not sure I want them in this creative an environment if I'm sending them there to do a reflection activity, you know what I mean? Like.
Right, right. So it might be that you're creating the reflection handout or whatever on here and printing it for kids, or you're giving them a view only copy. You can just share the link as not a template. And let me show you that. But we do want to get them designing because it's fun, and student agency. Sorry, let me go back. Not that. If I go to.
I've used that where I've just introduced it as play with first. Because it's just on play, and let them see what it is, and then give the template. And we worked on a newspaper, class newspaper, school newspaper, and it was a whole, they each had their own page in this. And
so they really
just
do want them to
learned,
design.
they just learned not to mess with somebody else's, because we talked about that. It's just a Is it the conversation. same problems you have in Google Slides where if you undo something, it could undo somebody else's if you're sharing the whole thing? So it's got that messiness to it. But I think introducing it as a play thing first, let them play with it first, and then saying, here's the expectations. This is somebody's work. Let's leave that page and go to your own page. And we did monthly newspapers, and everybody left just each other's stuff because they were proud of the end product, and there was a discussion.
And the newspaper lived digitally only, or did you actually produce print
No, we
copies?
printed it. So in your workflow with them, did they just go to Canva, or did you go through Google Classroom, or how did you assign it and push it out? Canva. Okay, so they don't have it in their drive then, it's only in Canva. So that's just I'm just kind of wrapping my head around like a different workflow, because I always go, that's one thing I've struggled with using Canva slides, is I always use Google Slides for my daily slides, but if I want to have fun and get creative, it's clunky for me. So I end up just staying with Google Slides because I haven't quite figured it out yet.
So that actually leads to my question is, can you import Google Slides that, because you've been making Google Slides for years, right? Can you import Google Slides so that way then your creativity that's available on Canvas?
Yes, you can. You can upload the file. So if you download your slides and then upload them into Canva. I feel like there's a better way I've learned to do that. We might need to chat with Gemini real quick and ask how to import the Google Slides into Canva, but there is a way to get them right into Canva, so all your stuff is still usable. I was gonna show how to get your students in here real quick, and then I was gonna let you play, but I'm having a bit of a brain fart. Where did I add people to my team? Oh, invite people. Okay, so I went to my little account down there. Let me show that again because I Took a minute to refresh my brain. So down in the bottom left, is your account, and then teams. And then invite people. I've got too many teams. Invite via a link, invite via code, invite via email, invite via Google Classroom. So those are all ways that you can get your kids in. And if you have the education account, then your students will now have access to all of the Pro tools as well through there. I don't use Google Classroom to know exactly all of the integration with that.
How about Canvas?
Canvas, there is an integration, I believe if your whole district is signed up for Canva for Education, then you can embed it in your assignments and they submit it directly and you flip through SpeedGrader like you would, and it's got their Canva designs. But you can also have them turn in the link to their stuff. When they turn in an assignment on Canva, like in Canva, they will turn in an assignment to you as well. And it gives you like a notification on the top and you can look at all their designs through Canva. It's just a matter of like what workflow works for you. The integration I have found not to be my favorite, so I don't bother with the integration very much and I just share template links and things like that with my students and have them share their links to their creations or download their creation and upload it in Canvas for me. Depending on what we're doing, but I don't usually bother with Canvas Classroom.
So they share the link via email to you?
No, I have them submit it as an assignment on our LMS.
Okay.
So that I have all the links
Okay.
in my program. Or I have them download it, like if they're making like an infographic, then I might just say download it as a JPEG and upload your image into the assignment.
Okay.
So then I can just see the assignment in there. So that's something to just kind of tinker with on your own and figure out what works for you and your students. But the key is just getting them into Canva and then figuring out what you're gonna have them create. And you don't even have to give them all the parameters of what they're going to create. You don't have to say everyone's gonna make a video or everyone's gonna make a slide deck. You could even leave it open and be like, here's Canva. And the goal is to create something that is advocating for more environmental friendly artificial intelligence and let them come up with whatever way they want to express that. Or you could give them more parameters. So that's what you're gonna tinker with later today, is coming up with those kinds of projects for them.
Do you let them use the AI to put the content on the slides? Because that's the scary part for me. There's no way to restrict that, right?
You can't restrict that.
It can be restricted at the district level if you have the district level Canvas.
But not just
I know
free ones, okay.
Our district has limited, so the kids can't use the AI.
Because I've had kids turn in full-on research projects that were AI. And then I have to go to the kid and be like, do you even know what this means?
Yeah, I
Right?
think there are district controls, like she mentioned, especially for also like the image generation.
Yeah.
Like I know a lot of the image generators, my kids have not had access to, but my district had turned it on for Canva. So we go to Canva and do image generation and they do stuff in there. I haven't had a huge issue with the text, probably because I just talk about AI all the time, so they know that I'm not the gal to do that with. But sometimes it's okay. I mean, we're using it to change our text and modify what we're trying to say in a more clear way. So I'm not concerned as long as they are doing the pre-thinking like we did, right? If they have a clear message and they're just using it to tweak their text, it just depends on what we're trying to do with the assignment. So we just always have to be thinking about what is the purpose. And like, maybe it's okay if they generate some of the text as long as the purpose of the assignment was to I don't know, come up with a creative way to express their language. Like what if you're just gonna ask them to make a video, right? Then you don't have to worry about the the text generation either, because they're still gonna have to do the pre-thinking. They're gonna have to probably write about it and come up with a plan, but then the output.
Well, if they're using AI to write the script and do all the creative creation, then they might just be reading it for the video.
You know, one of the
It's
things,
possible, but they're learning it at the same time.
one of the things that I was concerned about the same thing. So in my first attempt at an assignment, just this past spring, is that I had them research using AI, but then they had to make a poster that was done by hand. So therefore there was that by hand.
So even if they're copying it, you were okay with it.
Yes, but they had to then think about what they were writing down.
I have a friend, she's a third-year teacher who's using, when she has her students do their writing, it's an English class, they have to do all their pre-planning, all their graphic organizers, paper and pencil or pen, and then that's what's getting turned in. They're digitally submitting their writing, but they have to turn in all their planning, their note-taking, all the actual
Reflection.
content they've created and imagined in their own minds and the reflections, yeah. That seems to be successful.
It's kind of the shift of like, are we grading the process or the product?
Right.
So you could be thinking about that too and what you're asking students to create. Like, and how to build in those thinking processes so that there is that embedded cognitive aspect to all the things. Yeah, unless your district is gonna block the Magic Write, I mean, even if they block Magic Write, they're gonna turn around and go to Gemini in a different window and they're gonna find it there. So we're not gonna ever be able to block students from using AI, we just have to find ways for them to use it that doesn't replace their original thought.
Right, train them up.
Yes, train. Okay, so I've got a fun little scavenger hunt for you to play in Canva, and then we will do lunch at 12:30 if you guys can hang. It's not fun.
All week was checking in every day.
Okay, Sue. I showed some things, and if you want me to come around and help show you how to do anything specific during this block of time, I can. But Canva has a whole design school where they've got videos and resources to teach you how to use Canva, and you can use that with your students too. So if you wanted to set them free and be like, hey, go learn how to use elements in your design or how to animate or however, you can give them these links to the design school. I've linked some of my favorite things over here for you to go and poke around with, and the link to the scavenger hunt is there. But this is just for you to go poke around and play with different things. I didn't show the spinning wheel, but that's kind of cool. If you ever do like randomizer things, you can spin the wheel. And video is highly underrated. It is so cool to use the video tools in Canva, and that might be something that your students really love. So you might want to check that out. And then I showed most of the rest. Oh, I didn't show Magic Switch. Let me show that real quick, and then I'll set you free on the scavenger hunt, because you can change the size of all your things or translate, which is super handy. So if I go to, one here. If I go up to resize on the top left, then I can change it to all these other pre-built sizes, or I can click on custom size. So let's say, oh, thank you for being here. If I want to change my presentation into, let's see, click on more, a poster that's 24 by 18, then I can click on that, and I can either copy and resize, and it will like make a new copy so that this one stays normal. It'll like make another copy, or I can resize this design and it will change this here. So just be mindful of that before you click a button. Are you like changing everything here, or do you want to make a copy? That is awesome to resize into different things. You could like turn your slides into a social media post, or they could turn their social media post into a slide deck to then present to the class, that kind of thing. Magic Switch down here, this is under resize. Translate. Select the language. Arabic. I'm gonna say current page. Current page, done, and then translate. And sometimes you do have to like change the size of the font or like tweak it a little bit to make it fit right, but it has a ton of languages and it will translate the whole thing. So you could have your multiple versions all in one design, or have separate links for those.
This in the original, which way? Okay, so it didn't translate your emoji. it didn't flip it the other direction.
It's not gonna do all the things, no. So I might have to just take my little emoji off for that. I might be like, "Meh." Or they read right to left, so maybe it works, but it didn't flip it.
Right, I was just wondering if it's like, if we
Might just
read
take it out.
the opposite direction, it would just flip it, but.
It's not that smart. I know, now I'm jacking it up. So if I go back to resize, I can translate to another language or I can transform into a doc. So if I wanted to turn my slides into like a handout or a blog post or an outline or come up with a summary, there's a lot of really cool, magical things you can do there.
So how do you translate the entire document?
The entire document,
Like you
select
slide deck that you want in Spanish?
Yep. When I went to translate, I had said apply to page, but I can click on all pages. And you can leave the same tone of voice, or you can change the tone of voice and it will make it even different. It'll change your text. But this will translate the entire thing.
I'm sorry, where was that translate? I just found it.
Under resize.
Resize, thank you.
It's also under apps. So if you ever use it, like my apps that I use frequently, like show up down here under apps, like Magic Media, audio. Why is it not letting me scroll over here? There we go. So translate now shows up on my sidebar over here because I use it frequently. And I went to it from apps, I guess, probably one time. So you can go from resize to translate, or once you play with it from the apps, then it shows up on your sidebar. Then you've got charts, captions. What else do I use over here? Okay, I'm gonna let you explore, and I'll come around and check in with folks for a few minutes. So I have trained my bots to know all the things that I think are important and that I believe about teaching my kids, but also teaching adult learners and all these things. And I use that to kind of run my agendas through to just check like what's missing, what could I still add more of, and get suggestions. And so I wanted to make sure that I built in more movement after all that sitting. So that turned into these little cards that you will find on your table. And so these cards are for you to draw a card at any time during our work time in the afternoon, if you want a challenge to kind of get up and move and go do something different. So it's got some fun little things you can pick from. You can, look through them if you want to like pick the one you want to do, or you could just draw if you're feeling really adventurous. But it just gives you a few different things to like go and talk to someone at a different table and see what they're working on, or go get inspiration from somewhere else. Or get up and grab a whiteboard marker and draw your ideas on a whiteboard or something like that. So these were just my way of using AI to build in more movement. So feel free to use those or check them out at any time throughout the whole afternoon. And don't be surprised or caught off guard if someone just randomly comes up to you and is like, "Hey, what you working on?" Because it's probably on their little stirred up card that I have on the table. So that's just another way to use AI to like get those creative ideas, to be asking for things specifically like that, like to be checking like your activity, like, oh, okay, how might this activity affect a neurodivergent student? Or how might this activity affect my English learners? And be asking those questions and then be like, okay, give me ideas for how I can extend this activity for my gifted students, or how can I make sure that I'm doing all the things that I value more of, right? So keep that in mind as you are working this afternoon, but now you are going to have a cooking challenge. And your cooking challenge is to use Gemini and Canva to cook up something that is meaningful, fun, or totally new. You can start from scratch or remix something that you've done before. So if you've already had students create a poster for something, like how can you reimagine it to use Canva? How can you reimagine it using Gemini as your thought partner? And your big goal is to cook something that shifts your students from consumers of tech to creators. You want students to be creating. So you can spend your time creating a resource like my placemat or something that's giving student like a space for their thoughts, prompting the human before the machine, that is fine. Or you can extend it to students really getting into the technology. How are they going to interact with Canva? So you could use Gemini. I was helping someone use it to create student-facing directions. So once you have your ideas and you kind of know what the project is, be like, turn this into the student-facing directions. Like those are the things that we don't need to spend a ton of time like starting from scratch, right? It just gives us somewhere to start that's not zero. You could start in the middle. You've already described the outcome, so now turn it into their student directions. And Canva AI is not bad at helping with that too. Remember at the top, go to Canva AI, be like, here are the student-facing directions, turn this into a visual, and then use, you know, the image generator to generate some images that go with that if you're doing like a step-by-step or something, right? So be creative with what you want to create. Gemini gave me these pathways to consider. So you could think about using Gemini to brainstorm, plan, or co-create. You could draft a hook, outline a project, or test ideas for student voice. Or you might use Canva to build a resource like slides, handouts, posters, graphic organizers, or a student-facing doc. You could transform something you've already taught, add a creative twist, a new tool, or an AI layer to make it more student-centered. We have not yet talked about students using AI today, so you may or may not be ready to dive into that. But because we're talking about Canva and there are AI tools within Canva, you may want to explore like AI image generating in Canva with your students. That might be something that you think about. Or you could design a learning experience that students can use, like a Canva activity template or a creative task for student voice. So those were just some ideas that are up there for you. But let me just check my timer because I'm going to give you a big bulk of time to be working on this. And again, today is a slow cooker. You don't have to have anything like perfectly ready for the first day of school by the time we leave today. But I do want you to just have fun thinking through something that you could continue to iterate. We're doing this until 2:45, so you have an hour and 15 minutes, and then we'll take a break. And after that, we're going to have a taste test, and we're going to be sharing some of our ideas so that you can learn from the other humans, not just the robots. So big chunk of time. Remember to use Gemini to fill in the gaps. Even if you go and create something in Canva, you can download your template of whatever you created and go back to your gem and upload it and be like, improve this, what's missing, what could I add, how do I make this better? Like those are all really useful ways of using AI to kind of check yourself, not just for the ideas, but then to revise and continue to improve. And remember, student agency is like a goal and creativity. Woo! I was helping a few people with like brand kits and other things. So if you have other technical things, like flag me down. We have a long time to do this. So, and if anyone wants to work outside or like find another space, like you don't have to be stuck in your chair. Cool?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So I was trying to mess around with the.
Oh, can I pause the recording? Sorry.
Yeah, of course.
I'm gonna forget. We're not done working, but I'm gonna interrupt you for a second because I wanted to just have you consider these 3 lenses as you're designing. I want you to look again through the student perspective. So just thinking about what you're creating right now, like pause for a second to think how they might experience this thing that you're creating. You could also invite a thought partner. Right now might be a good time to just kind of talk to someone at a different table. Maybe there's someone in the room that teaches the same grade level or subject as you that you just aren't aware of yet. And then you could choose to pause and ask yourself or Gemini how you can remove a barrier or what might make this more welcoming or accessible to your students. So just kind of a midpoint check-in right there, and you can continue designing till 2:45. That was just my commercial break. Continue on.
One person for 2 seconds.
How are we doing? Okay, here comes the fun part. We're gonna share our cool ideas for things, what you guys are working on. Again, low pressure. I know things are still percolating in there, and they're not finished products, but it's really nice to just share where you're at in your progress, what you're thinking of still adding or doing. And it might inspire some other people to have other ideas in their classroom. So this is going to be our tasting party. And these are your sentence frames. We're going to each go around and pick one sentence to respond to. Something that you tried today, something that you're excited to taste test or try later, recipe you're proud to serve up, something that you have already created today that you're proud about, and or one way this design could open a door for more students. Before we answer those prompts, I wanted to share a whiteboard in Canva for you to actually physically drop some things. So I didn't show you this earlier, and it's one of my favorite freaking things that Canva added recently, is that, so I'm in my presentation, but you can add other design types to the same file. So every single part of this doesn't have to be a slide. Right here, I can add a new page, which is gonna be a slide, but if I go to the little caret next to it, I can add a spreadsheet, a doc, a whiteboard, social media post, I can add a video, I can add a website. There's so many things that I can add, and it's all in one place. And that is actually really important to me as a teacher, because I can give them all the resources in one design instead of having to toggle around to different links. And it's also important for students because they can create different types of media and turn it all into me in one link as well. So if you want students to use a whiteboard to brainstorm with their group, and then you want them to create a video or like a graphic of a book cover or something that is like their visual. And then the next thing could be a doc that has the reflection questions. It could all be embedded in one link that you give them and or that they give you. So that's kind of clutch, and that's the little caret down here next to add page. So I did add in my slides a whiteboard for you to drop your stuff, but I realized that I gave everybody a copy of my slides. So you have your own copy, which is gonna give you your own freaking whiteboard. So I just had to add this link right now. So this link, teach.link/taste test, should get you into my slide deck where we can all edit on the whiteboard together. So you're gonna have two versions of the slides today, one that's yours and one that's mine, sorry. Oh, I see we're already in there. So feel free to add anything on here. You can add to the whiteboard text, or you can go to elements to find a sticky note, or you can pull over uploads if you wanted to like download something that you designed today and then put it in, upload it to your files. And then you could drag that in if you wanted to show us what you created. You could also add a shape and type on a shape. It's just like typing on a sticky note if you wanted to do that. Just didn't show that earlier. So however you want to add something, or just text describing what you've done. We'll take a couple minutes to kind of populate the whiteboard. Thank you. Keep it on the link for you. I used to use Bitly, and now they have ads that come up when you go to a Bitly link. So I got the link from Padlet TA. You go to Padlet TA, there's a link shortener. So that's my new go-to. It doesn't track the analytics, but gives me a quick link to share. And you can share what you made your gem for. It doesn't have to all be Canva, it could be Gemini. So you create it in Gemini. if you wanted to share a link to your projects, we could link it on here too, like if you type on your box or if you insert an image or something, you could highlight it. 3 dots and then link, or Command K is a shortcut on my Mac. Hyperlink. No pressure.
Oh, teach.link/taste test. Yeah, when I wanted. Yes, and then scroll through the slides, it's the embedded in the slides.
More minute and then we'll look around the room and share out. All right. Anyone want to share their recipe first?
So this is all new for me. It was a lot of productive struggle. I took out the SPARK tool and I did very good. I wrote every little thing. And then when I got to Canva, it didn't do what I wanted it to do. And so at some point, I found myself asking like, these are just slides and I'm choosing from slides and I have to tweak them in order to get what I want. I'm like, how is that using AI? So I stopped myself and I went to Gemini and I'm like, help me on Canva, I want, and I, gave everything. And they gave me directions. They called it a blueprint. So they walk you through how to do it on Canva. But again, I'm like, this is like PowerPoint. So I didn't find it useful. my project was to create an interactive ABC book for families and students so that they can identify a cultural tradition that they do. And for each letter of the alphabet, they would interact with it. You would put an artifact or a picture, describe it. It would be something for the kids to do with their families. And I thought that Canva was gonna get me there, and it didn't, not there yet. So yeah, a lot of productive struggle, and I need a break from this because I'm getting mad. I'm like, this is power, I can do this, you know what I mean? So I have to figure out how to amp up the AI so that I'm not frustrated or spending a lot of time on the minutia and feeling like I could have done this by myself, you know?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of finding out what AI is best at and what you're best at. And only asking it for help with the things that you struggle with, like how you asked it for directions for how to use Canva, like that's a great use of Gemini. But Canva AI is still not quite there yet, but it's getting better, and there's new stuff that they're gonna announce at ISTE in a couple days. So I'm sure within the next week, we're gonna have a better version of Canva AI or whatever they're gonna call it, but thank you for sharing your struggles with that.
This is how the students feel, right?
So should we popcorn around?
I can go jump in if that's all right. First of all, one thing I think that would be great for the project you want to do is Book Creator. It's very simple to use, and it'd be easy for the kids to learn how to use, and then it's actually a little book because they're focused on reading, and it's got audio, and it's, yeah. I think that that's what you need for the project that you want to do. Book Creator, yeah. And there's tons of tutorials and stuff, but it's not as, are not as many bells and whistles, so you can streamline it, I think, for that. Anyway, I sort of had similar, I've used Canva before, so for lots of different projects, but I was running into the same thing. It's like, what, like, kind of that wah when they sort of returned. Like, I had great stuff from Gemini about a Maya project, which I do teach 7th grade social studies. So, and I've done Maya projects a lot, and I like give students a choice of projects, but I wanted to tweak some new ideas for Gemini, and I came up with great ones, or good starting points at least. One was about, after studying the whole unit, like these are culminating projects. So one was, wait, what am I supposed to say? This one, I have to say this one. A recipe I'm proud to serve up because it's about recipes and traditional Maya food, and then how those connect to contemporary Maya food in our communities. And so they gave a bunch of really good things and then tweaked it. Like, I didn't like their first thing was just the Maya Foodways and Cultural Identity project, but then we got it to traditional foods, a living heritage. And then in Canva, it just like spits out a book, and that's not, I wanted more than that. So, but I focused more on the Gemini stuff than the Canva stuff. And then another one was like this, choosing flora and fauna of the Maya and how that integrated into like every aspect of their society. And so they sort of came up with an encyclopedia and an art book, and I would like to tweak it into more of like a field guide to those things. And yeah, anyway, those are just some of the ideas that they came out. I did dump a lot of what I wanted covered in it, so they came back with pretty detailed things. And I think what's great about it, and I've only used it for a few months, like just getting my feet wet. And I think what's good is like, I might not like it, but it also brings up what I don't like. Like, yes, I'll take this. I don't want that. You're on the wrong track. And it just helps you refine and refine and refine your own ideas that you have. So I think that's the strength for me, is that. Because it's like, I have the vision in my head. I might need help with the organizing pieces of it. But I definitely know when I don't like the response. But that helps me pinpoint what I do want out of it. So
it's that speeding up the iteration process.
Yeah.
We would eventually get to the thing.
Yeah.
If we did that on our own without AI, but now we can get through all the idea generating a little bit quicker.
Yeah.
To land on what we want, or to think of something totally different. Bad ideas lead to good ideas eventually.
Right.
Thank you.
I loved seeing in Canva that I might be able to use it to replace Jamboard and Flipgrid, which, you know, have all gone by the wayside, and I used a lot. But the thing I was excited about today was with the Gemini, creating social stories to help support my classroom community. And I liked using the whiteboard in order to have them, so I had the social story in an image that I had them generate. And then kids would put sticky notes on, you know, what they thought that the character might have been thinking or how the character might have solved the problem. And I thought that would be a great way, kind of like a Padlet, but free, where the kids could post and share and kind of read it real time.
Can I show you guys something in Canva whiteboards that I didn't show earlier? If you have a bunch of sticky notes like this could be great for like meetings or collaborating with colleagues or for student brainstorming things. If you select like all the sticky notes like this, I don't know what happens if you select the other things, but up here there's a sort. And it will use AI to sort by topic, by color of the Post-it, by the name of the person that came up, or even by reactions. So if you had students add reactions to those Post-its and like upvote, you could then like sort it and have like a winner, this one got voted on the most. So that's kind of a cool little fun add-on for whiteboards that I like. Thank you for sharing, Pamela. Who wants to share?
I'll share. So I work out of a district office with a whole range of all the grades basically. And so I was wanting to create something that I could use with more than one grade level. And I also work on the libraries, and the kids are all super into graphic novels, and a lot of the teachers don't like to let them use the graphic novels, especially for like biography reports. So I was thinking, what if the kids did the research on their biography, the person that they're doing the report on, and instead of doing a traditional report, what if they write and illustrate their own graphic novel about that person? So I started playing around with making a template for a graphic novel in Canva. I did throw the link to that template in on the sticky note if anyone wants to click through to see it.
Awesome. Which one is?
It's the blue, the sort of bluish teal square under your circle.
Oh, under the circle right here. Oh, cute.
Super bare bones, but easily adaptable to whatever we decide to use with it.
And they could draw, or they could generate images, or you could print it out and they could do stuff like that. There's a lot of options for how they can create. Thank you for sharing. And that's super adaptable for every grade. That's a great project. Who else has their recipe to share? In progress?
I started like 7 different things, but sort of how my mind works, I kind of like start doing one thing and then I get distracted with another and another. So it actually is difficult for me to start slides presentations because I'm like, I teach art and like used to be a graphic designer and all that stuff is really in my head. So I actually found it really nice to be able to start a set of slides in Canva using the AI. You know, I put in like, one of the project ideas I have is for them to write out and illustrate a recipe to sort of like learn about each other and all that. And so it was great. I could go in Canva AI, click presentation, and it set me up with like a basic template. And instead of me like laboring over what background colors I wanted, I was like, cool, I'll just take the ones they gave me because it doesn't really matter to anyone but me. And then, you know, obviously customize it because I can't not, but it was a great way just to like launch into that.
I shared another hack. Sorry, I don't need to do this to everyone. It's just all these ideas like, oh, I didn't show them this, I didn't show them that. Canva is just endless. I showed you a little bit about the brand kit, but then the hack, you don't have to do that every time, is if you, I'm gonna go to a blank slide over here. If you have like a screenshot or just an image and you want to pull the colors from that, you could add that to your design and then go to the 3 little dots above the image and apply colors to page. And if you don't like it, you could go do it again and it shuffles the colors from the image and then you just take that off. And it will, that was a bad one to leave, but that's a quick little way to not have to fuss about colors But if you just upload your thing and be like, oh, okay, that looks a little bit better, I'm gonna keep that. Thank you for sharing your hack there, and your ideas. One thing I saw someone post about that was super genius was how they were using AI to time block and like use it for time management and the focus issues and like all of those things that so many of us struggle with. You're definitely not alone, Nicole. Like how many of us probably were like, oh, I'm gonna create the student facing version of this, and then I'm gonna create an example, and then like, there's so many parts of all the things that we want to think about at the same time. But someone had shared like they looked up on AI, like all the different organizational strategies and then how to use AI to make those better. And they came up with like all these game plans. And they were like, okay, I'm gonna time block and I'm gonna do this and that. And then how to prioritize, like here are the 25 things that I wanna do. What can I do right now? So like, it could even help you just in your personal life with those things. So thank you for sharing all of that. Do you wanna share, Julie?
Sure. I was looking at the different templates and also looking at some of the different apps, and I noticed they even had a calendar, like you can calendar content. So if you want to work on this presentation on this day or this similar to the time blocking. And then I also was playing a little bit with the whiteboard and I noticed it captures each person's name. And it's already there, which I know is a challenge with Jamboard, with being able to edit other people's things or not having someone identified with their work. So I thought that was a fun thing to add with the whiteboard piece.
Do you want to share what you were working on, or
yeah, well, I played with the video and then I'm still kind of what I was playing with was looking at the idea of rubrics and learner profiles. I started going down, looking at a lot of the resources, and I found a few all about me templates already that I think could work as a learner profile option and having multiple ones. But I was keeping in mind what Pam said about is there a black and white version for printing? But I also started thinking, well, the whiteboard could become that place where you post the digital content. So.
She's been gone now.
One day they'll add some kind of black and white version. I mean, everything looks prettier in color digitally, but I would love just a button up here that's like preview, black and white, so I can see, and then I can adjust the colors so that it prints nicely. That would be great. Did you want to share, Stephanie, or Suzette?
I just created just a music awards because I was so like I have so many ideas bouncing off the head, but I think that it's just gonna be really helpful to be able to take the slides and translate them completely into one language because there's no option for that in Google and I didn't know that was an option, so I struggled with that in the past, and like just to have that as an option, so take all the slides and translate them will be really helpful. And then yeah, there's just a lot of things I think I can buy. And like I want to play with the apps. I think they'll be helpful. I don't know what kind of music AI generations I could do, or I'm trying to create crossword puzzle using the words that I want for vocabulary. You know, so I'm gonna just play around. It looks really fascinating. There's a lot of things on there.
Yeah. I'm glad you were exploring the apps though.
Yeah.
Suzette?
Playing with Joan to be able to have my students be able to use AI to create content that then they would be able to put into like a poster that they would create. And so I started on that, but as I'm working on it, I'm going, I've got to simplify, I got to simplify, I got to simplify. And so I've got to start, but I think I'm going to break it apart and simplify it further. So something at the beginning of the school year, something at the end, so that it will build.
Do you think Gemini is going to help you with that?
I think, yeah. So, but yeah, it's some of the stuff we're looking at AI and the effect of AI on the environment with the perspective of chemistry. So it gave a lot of good ideas that I think that would help the students be able to pick something that they might want to explore.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be an engaging topic for them.
Yeah.
I was trying, like this morning I had like a couple of ideas. I'm thinking about like what would I would like to use AI to help with my curriculum, like things I'm working on. And so this morning I work on like use the Gemini to think about the unit that I'm teaching. I will be teaching in my school. It's a toy design unit, and I work in a Mandarin immersion school. So their kids are gonna to use their language skills and then to talk about their design process, thinking, and then all the process. So I just used the Spark and then put in a Gemini and came up with a pretty good ideas. And then I was thinking to use Canva this afternoon to just input those ideas and make like a learning document for the students, like a journal. How would they come up with the idea, and then how do they interview one another and to think about what toy they're gonna make. So, but then in the afternoon, I switched my gears like, oh, I'm working on this math unit. I could use Canva to create a kind of choice board, for students, so they can like they pick what they want to work on, and so then they can use that instead of paper, but they use Canva, a digital tool that can help them to make their choices. So that's what I worked on in the afternoon. So I just see that there's a lot of opportunity or possibility using Canva for students, and I have never used Canva for first graders yet. So I'm thinking next school year will be a good time for them to start exploring.
I guess I'll love that. Did I get everybody? Awesome. Well, thank you for sharing all of those wonderful things that you're working on. I was reminded that I didn't share a couple last things just real quick in Gemini. Let me go to a chat. So we looked mostly at the gem, but we didn't really explore like the chat itself or how to iterate or do any of those things. So I didn't show you that at the bottom. Now I'm not getting to the right. Give me a chat here. I'm not showing what I want. I'm just gonna. Huh, why is it not showing what it's showing on my other one here? Maybe I have two different Geminis open here. Oh, I might be in two different accounts. Sorry, never mind. I was gonna show you, there's a microphone. I might have this might be a paid version. Look at this. Do you guys see this little microphone at the bottom of your chats? Or is it just the little paper airplane? I think it might, I'm not sure. The microphone lets you voice dictate. So instead of just typing, you can talk. So you could just be talking, and like you were talking to your partner earlier today with your problem, your aspiration, just describe it and then stop the microphone and submit what you were just saying. And that saves a ton of time because it takes longer to type than it does to talk. So that's something to try. Deep research, I didn't get into, but deep research will send your AI teammate off into research land to then come back and give you something even more that they've dug into, they've done research on. So if you were trying to create like something based off of actual data from the internet and you wanted them to explore multiple websites, you could say like, you could guide it and tell it all the parameters, what you want to create, what you wanted to research, and then click the deep research and it will spend a couple minutes and it will go away for a while and then it will come back with something that's even more robust. So that's really if you're trying to research something that's like very detail oriented or fact-based. It's not for your everyday prompts, but if you were trying to create like, I don't know, if you were trying to like summarize some giant document or consolidate information from multiple places, that would be useful. And then Canvas, you had brought up earlier, It's so annoying that there's Canvas, the LMS,
Yeah.
and then there's Canvas in Gemini, and there's a Canvas in ChatGPT, and it's, can we get a new word, people? But Canvas, it sometimes opens on its own, or you can open up the Canvas, click on it, and then say, let's make a document with directions for how to use Canva. And now it's gonna open up a new window that looks like you're editing a doc. And you can be having your chat over here. And then it will update, and I'll say, make it shorter. And then it'll rewrite over here. So it just gives you like a separate window to work with. And you can do a lot of things from here. You can suggest, you can actually, there's like shortcuts over here. So Canvas just is like a doc within Gemini, if you wanted that look. So I didn't share that earlier. Okay, we are at the end of the day. And the last thing I have for you is a survey. If you don't mind, I know it's a lot of screen time today. I really don't know how you guys hung in there with the screens and the sitting, because it's not my usual style. But before you head out, if you could go to the link here or scan the QR code. We would love your feedback. I would love to know what you would like different if I were to do this again next time, or anything that really worked for you. I definitely will look at it, and Justin and Gay are here, and we'll be looking at the feedback too, so that we can keep offering things at KCI that appeal to everyone's needs. And then you are free to head out and enjoy your beautiful summer day. And I hope to see you at some other workshops throughout the summer. You all have the summer learning pass, I'm assuming, so you could come to any of the workshops in person or online, and all the resources are gonna be sent out digitally. So the recording from today, am I recording? Oh, yes, I have recording. The recording from today will be there. Not that you're gonna need that, but if anyone that wasn't here needs it, they'll have access as long as they've signed up for the summer learning pass. And I have a document with all the links to a template of the placemat and all the things from today for you. So I'll be sharing that out after
Is there an
today.
easy place to find all the workshops this summer? I know that we had the list that we looked at when we were submitting what we were interested in, but was there a link to that somewhere?
There is a flyer that I've seen that has them all. Do you have any of those flyers with all the workshops?
There's some downstairs in the makerspace.
Okay,
We can go down and get that.
are you sure I can run down? He's got his backpack on ready to go.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much for being here.
This afternoon.
Awesome, thank you. Have a good one. Thank you all, and have some more chocolate for the road on your way out.
Thank you.
Yes, yes. So fun. And my email is on all the things that I'm gonna share too. So if you ever have a question or just wanna say hi, you can email me or add me on LinkedIn. I'm on LinkedIn and Instagram. Thank you.
She has great blogs on our KCI website.
Yeah. Yes. I actually have a whole course that I created online on some of the things that we did today, but it's on Gemini and Canva. It's a mini online course that'll be linked on the doc that I shared too. If you're interested in a little bit more.
Okay, that's great, thank you.
Well, cool. Thanks for grabbing me.
Yep.
Does anyone else want the flyer? I'll
So
them
they're
around.
also, all of them are also on our website if you look at workshops. So you'll see everything there too. Yep.
Yep.
Okay.
I'm doing a virtual one in July on podcasting. If you've ever thought of starting your own podcast,